Monsieur le Président.
Mesdames et Messieurs.
Good afternoon, colleagues. We resume the session. The minutes of yesterday's session have been circulated. Observations, please. I can't see any comments, so we thereby adopt the minutes. On our agenda we have Mr. Alexander Alvaro's report on data retention in the supply of electronic communication services open to the public. I shall give the floor straight away to Commissioner Frattini on behalf of the Commission. Go ahead, sir.
Grazie, signor Presidente.
Thank you, President. Ladies and gentlemen, the compromise achieved on this proposal for a directive tabled by the Commission only 3 months ago is born from credible, professional and intensive work performed together by the three institutions of the European Union. And it is also born from the resolve which has been demonstrated, shared resolve with a will to work together to fight terrorism and organised crime. Now, if this Parliament, as I do hope, votes in favour of the compromise, the 25 member states of the EU will enact into common legislation provisions on retention of telecommunications data, which will help courts and police forces to work more effectively to protect the security of European citizens. And that in its own right is a significant result, and it represents a first but key step towards an incremental harmonisation of national legislation. Moreover, if there is to be an agreement, this will place an emphasis on our ability to tackle key topics for European citizens against a community backdrop. It won't be intergovernmental anymore, and therefore there will be a possibility, indeed a right, to have full participation, not just of Commission and Council, but also of the European Parliament in work in this field. And I would make the point publicly that it's thanks to the personal commitment and courageous resolve of Minister Clark that we managed in Council to achieve agreement on the change of the legal basis, bringing us round to the current proposal for a directive which just a few months ago seemed to be a tricky task. And that compromise is one that I think will help us strike a proper balance between the need to provide for security and the need for freedom. And that objective is a key one for the European Commission, and one that I personally pursue. This compromise answers a number of the most important requests put forward, not just by Council, but also, and above all, by this Parliament in the course of intensive debate over the last few months. We have taken into account the overriding need to provide protection and security for personal data records, the use of sanctions on illegal use of retained data, and the restriction of the scope of the directive to serious criminal offences bear that out. And today in this Parliament, as I've already said to Council, I would confirm how important it is that the necessity and proportionality are principles which are always abided by as we apply Article 15 in this directive from 2002 that we're replacing. These are significant results which work to protect the fundamental rights of European citizens and which respond to the general principles underlying legislative activity in Europe. So, President, at this point, I would offer a concluding thought. It also is incumbent on me to thank you as a Parliament for the work that you've done in difficult circumstances and against the pressure of time, very much against the pressure of time, considering the parliamentary timetable. And this too we must acknowledge. This topic is one which tends to be very complex in legal terms. It's also technical and economically complicated. On some of the specific topics, our initial views apparently were very far apart, and it's for those reasons that I would in particular like to thank my own personal gratitude and appreciation to the work of the Libe Committee, which I've attended a number of times, and its chairman, Mr. Cavada, and its rapporteur, Mr. Alvaro. President, the Commission, therefore, is happy with the compromise achieved and would recommend that this compromise be supported by the European Parliament, with, in particular, approval of amendments 51 to 92 by Rohr and Christoffler on behalf of the PES and Clam and Royal for the EPP. I think that consensus is one which could flow beyond the amendments from the two main groups of the European Parliament, and I do believe that even wider-ranging consensus within the Parliament would demonstrate to our citizens that this great institution and the three institutions of Europe are capable of working together to provide tangible answers to the questions our fellow citizens are placing. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Commissaire.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that the applause in the plenary shows the attitude of the Parliament. Mr. Clark.
Mr. President, can I begin by associating myself very strongly with the sentiments expressed by my friend Commissioner Vice President Frattini that he has set out for us today. I believe there has been a very substantial, very constructive work, both between the Council and the Commission, and between the Council and the Parliament, and I particularly want to express my appreciation to Monsieur Cavada and the Libe Committee and everybody in the Libe Committee, including Mr. Alvaro and the leaders of the groups, in the way we have worked to discuss these questions. As we come to the end of the UK presidency, I am very happy to have the opportunity to participate in this debate. It has been one of the most important items in our agenda, and I hope that we can agree that these proposals represent a chance for all three institutions of Europe, the Parliament, the Commission and the Council, to stand united in the face of terrorism and organised crime, and to send a message that we are determined to work together to achieve these things. I am proud of what has been achieved in this presidency. We have agreed a European Union counter-terrorism strategy. We have taken steps to improve the exchange of information for law enforcement. We have adopted a strategy to address radicalisation and terrorist recruitment. We have established a European Union programme to protect critical infrastructure against terrible attacks. We have established a peer evaluation of counter-terrorism practice and development. We have adopted a money laundering directive. We have agreed proposals to enhance the sharing of information between law enforcement agencies. And we have developed a European plan of action to tackle human trafficking. And in that context, perhaps I can draw attention to the fact we have also placed the issues of migration much higher up the agenda of the European Union. This is a very substantial range of achievement, but the one which I personally attach greatest importance to is the one we are debating today, the aim to achieve common standards for retention of telecommunications data. As Franco said, this has been both a frank debate, and everybody has been ready to participate in discussion, but also a difficult debate, because the issues of principle and also the technical issues have not been at all easy to resolve. My own commitment has been to listen as widely as possible to views expressed within the Parliament, and to discuss with my colleagues in the Council how we can work together. And to be candid, Mr. President, there was some scepticism in the Council at the idea of going down the course of a first reading deal and a process of this kind. People weren't certain